Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Ritesh and today we are going to learn about understand about dial plan and dial peers. So before I start learning, teaching you guys the protocols, MGCP, CP323, the call routing issues and all, let's first understand about dial peers and dial plan. So dial peer is one of the important and very important component of VoIP. And when I say dial peers, it's it's configured on the voice gateways. It's not part of CUCM. It's the part of voice gateways only, voice gateways and queues. So let's learn and understand what a dial plan is and what is a dial pair used for. So when I say dial plan, it's it's kind of the way you dial a number to reach people, and this varies from country to country. It will let you know how to dial a number, what specialized codes, area codes has to be used before you can connect to a number. So for example, in America you have a 10-digit dial plan, and under North America numbering plan where first three digits are area code, and next seven digits are local codes. Suppose in case of India, so if you want to reach a mobile number, you have to dial the 10-digit number, complete 10-digit number, where first two, three digits can be your area code. So take example of landline phones, BSNL landline phones. So in my childhood, I remember we used to have a 5-digit number. So if you want to dial locally to someone in the same state, you have to dial the 5-digit number. But if you want to dial someone interstate, you have to dial the state code, which can be 2-digit or 3-digit, and then you have to dial the 5-digit or 6-digit number. So that's the numbering plan, or that's the dial plan, and it varies from country to country. It can it's different for most of the countries, right? So that's the dial plan, which makes us understand how to reach a number. And all the telephone companies, the telephone networks must comply with those dial plans. Okay. So whenever we configure our dial peers or configure our router to act as a voice gateway or a cube, the dial peer configuration should or and must comply with the country's dial plan, how the government or the telephone companies specify it. So we'll be learning how, what is the dial pair, why the dial pairs are used. So when I say dial pair, you guys can understand or you can relate, yeah, consider this as static routing. If you guys have gone through basic CCNA course where we learn about static routing and dynamic routing. So this dial pairs can be considered as static routing in VoIP world. So they let us know or help us identify the call source and the destination endpoint. It's kind of it it can initiate a call or it can send a call to a destination. So we will have incoming dial pairs and outgoing dial pairs based on the call flow, based on the call direction. So they will also understand what is the call leg, because that's very important to understand. Dial pairs are very critical in VoIP world, and it's very important when you have H323 in a SIP gateway. Exception MGCP, you don't need dial pairs when you are configuring your router as the MGCP gateway. Even if you have a PRI or a FXO at the TDM leg, but if you have a MGCP at the VoIP leg, you don't need dial pair. Why? If you remember, in the first video, I think I have explained MDCP is a centralized call control routing protocol. All the call control lies with the call manager. It's a master slave protocol. Okay, it's a master slave protocol. Unlike SIP and H323, they are peer-to-peer protocols where they have the call control, right? So the main point is you don't need dial peers when you have MDCP gateway, but you will need dial peers to route the calls when you have a SIP or H323 gateway, and it can be anything on the TDM leg. But you have H323 and SIP at the VoIP leg, you will need dial peers, right? Now, when I'm talking about dial peers, so dial peers can be incoming dial peers can be outgoing dial peers, and there are two types of dial pairs apart from incoming and outgoing, which is based on the direction. So based on the VoIP or POTS, whatever leg you have and which leg should handle, which dial pair should handle which leg, we have two types of dial pairs. So we have VoIP dial pair and we have POTS dial pair, plain old telephony service dial pair. So the easiest way to remember where this dial pair should be used is VoIP dial pair used at the VoIP leg, which is between call manager and the voice gateway. POTS dial pair will be used where we have POTS leg, a TDM leg, which is between voice gateway and the PSTN. So when you have a PRI or FXO, or you want to receive a call or send a call to a PRI, from or to a PRI NFX, so you need POTS dial pair. And when you want to receive a call or send a call, when you have SIP and H323, you need a VoIP dial pair, right? So let me show you now where the dial pairs will be used and what are the call legs. So suppose you have an IP phone registered on a call manager. You have a SIP gateway and suppose a PRI towards the PSTN. Now, in this call flow, if we are trying to make outgoing call, right? So this is where we will be configuring dial pairs. Now, this is the portion, it's a TDM leg. So this is TDM leg and this is my VoIP leg. This is my VoIP leg and this is my TDM. Now, let's understand the call legs first, and then we will understand the dial pairs where the POTS and VoIP dial pair will be used, and in which direction which dial pair should be used when we have outgoing call or incoming call. So in the simple call flow, if this IP phone is trying to make outgoing call, and this is your CM, then this IP phone will initiate a call to call manager. Then there will be a call leg between this and the call manager and the voice gateway, another call leg between voice gateway and the provider. So this will be call leg 1. This will be call leg 2, and this will be call leg 3. This is for an outgoing call. In case of incoming call, the direction will be this: from PSTN to the voice gateway, from voice gateway to the call manager, and then call manager. third leg would be between call manager and IP phone. So do not confuse this as RTP establishment. RTP would be always between the phone and the voice gateway and voice gateway and then the provider. So this is the signaling I'm talking about. This will be a signaling leg. Okay. Now, so this is called the call leg, a logical connection between various endpoints involved in the call flow. This is a logical connection, right? So this is called the call leg. Now, if you talk about dial pairs in the same call flow, if I have IP phone registered on a call manager, then I have the SIP, so SIP gateway and a PRI, the provider. So suppose you're trying to make an outbound call from this, which initiates from the IP phone, then the dial pairs that we will be configuring on the voice gateway would be and would be uh, would be uh, VoIP incoming dial pair on the voice gateway, voice incoming dial pair, and one more dial pair would be POTS outgoing POTS outgoing. So as this is a TDM leg, we will need POTS dial pair. As this is a VoIP leg, we will need VoIP dial pair. Now, whether it will be an incoming or outgoing, it depends on the direction of the call. So if it's an incoming call, and when I say direction, and when you're talking about dial pairs, the direction will be in perspective of the voice gateway. So even if it's an outbound call for my enterprise network, this call coming from IP phone through call manager to the voice gateway will be an incoming call leg. It will be an incoming call leg. It will be an incoming call leg and it will be a VoIP call leg. So we will need an incoming VoIP dial pair, and when the call exits from voice gateway towards the PSTN, it will be an outgoing call leg, and since it's in POTS leg, it will be outgoing POT. It will be an outgoing POTS dial pair, POTS leg, and we will need an outgoing POTS dial pair, right? So it depends what's your call flow is. Now, if you have an incoming call coming from PSTN, so suppose you have an IP phone registered on call manager, SIP gateway, and a PRI, the provider. So suppose if you talk about incoming call where a call is originated at the PSTN side, so the call will be coming from provider to this voice gateway, from voice gateway VoIP interface and to the call manager, right? So as this is a POTS leg and the call is coming from provider to the voice gateway, it's an incoming leg for the voice gateway. We will need an incoming POTS dial pair. And as the call is going towards the call manager, right? So we will need an outgoing VoIP dial pair. Outgoing VoIP dial pair. So whether it will be a VoIP or POTS, it depends on what's your call leg. If it's between call manager and voice gateway, you will need a VoIP dial pair. If it's between voice gateway and the provider, you will need a POTS dial pair. If the call is coming from PSTN, you will need an incoming POTS dial pair. If a call is coming from the call manager side, you will need an incoming VoIP dial pair, right? If you if you are sending call from call manager to the voice gateway, where you are receiving a call from call manager to voice gateway, you will need an incoming VoIP dial pair, and sending the call from voice gateway to the provider, you will need an outgoing POTS dial pair, right? So whether when someone asks what type of dial pair you will need, always ask the call flow, right? And whether it will be an incoming dial pair or outgoing dial pair, it depends on the direction of the call. Now, whether you will need a POTS dial pair or VoIP dial pair, it depends which leg you are talking about. Okay, so this is about incoming and outgoing dial pair, which depends on direction, and then VoIP and POTS dial pair, which depends on the leg. So basically, if I talk about voice gateway and how many number of dial pairs you need, so you will need incoming VoIP dial pair, you will need an incoming VoIP dial pair, and incoming POTS dial pair. You will need outgoing VoIP dial pair, and you will also need outgoing POTS dial pair. So these are the four types of dial pair you will be needing. Okay, so based on direction and based on the call leg. So this is how you understand what a dial pair is, and I mean what dial pairs are needed to configure voice gateway to route the calls. Now, so if I talk about this example of VoIP dial pair and POTS dial pair, so this is the command which is used to configure a dial pair, and whether you need a POTS dial pair or a VoIP dial pair, it depends uh, uh, on the leg, and this is the keyword you will be using to configure that specific dial pair. If you need a VoIP dial pair on the VoIP leg, you have to use the keyword as VoIP dial pair voice. This is the tag, and this is specific tag. You can't use, if you have used 4 in one of the dial pair, you can't use 4 in another dial pair. You have to use a different tag. This is a specific tag, right? Specific to dial pairs. And when you want to use or configure a POTS dial pair, use the keyword as POTS, right? Now, this destination pattern command is common and can be used in both POTS and VoIP dial pair. This is means the pattern or the number that you want to reach. So if someone is dialing 4455344, this is an exact match, and this dial pair will be matched and will be used to send the call out to this number through port 201. It can be a, it's a POTS port, a TDM like port, right? So this is how we define a port in TDM leg for the dial pair. So this number will be matched and the call will be sent out through port 201. And in case of VoIP dial pair, when you dial, when someone dials this number, right? So it will be sent to the IP address which is mentioned after session target command. So 10001 will be the destination IP address where this call will be sent. So remember one thing, you don't need a session target command when you are trying to use the dial pair as an incoming dial pair. Session target is needed only uh, when you want to use the dial pair as an outgoing dial pair. Same in case of POTS dial pair, you don't need a port command when you want to use the dial pair as an incoming POTS dial pair. You only need the port command when you want to use this dial pair as an outgoing POTS dial pair. When this dial pair is pointing somewhere, it's trying to send the call to somewhere else, not for incoming. So in a normal call flow, we have already learned how our incoming dial pair and outgoing dial pair direction looks like. Remember, this leg is called a LAN dial pair leg. This is where you will need LAN dial pairs, incoming LAN dial pair, outgoing LAN dial pair, and this is where you will be needing outgoing WAN dial pair and incoming WAN dial pair. So this is an incoming WAN dial pair and this is an outgoing LAN dial pair. This is an incoming LAN dial pair and an outgoing WAN dial pair. This is how it looks. So when someone, let me reiterate it again, when someone asks what type of dial pair you will need, we have to explain both the type of dial pair and the direction of dial pair. It can be an incoming POTS dial pair, outgoing POTS dial pair, incoming VoIP dial pair, outgoing VoIP dial pair. So try to explain both direction and the type of dial pair, right? Now, before I go to dial pair rules, there are certain dial pair rules which are very important and they are used to choose a dial pair. There are priorities. Those dial pairs are used, to select which dial pair will be used. So before I go to them, there are few terms that we should understand which I will be using while explaining the dial pair rules. So first one is DNIS. It's dialed number identification service. So you can consider DNIS as a called number. Called number means to the number on which I'm calling. If my number is 123 and if I'm calling to someone at 456, then 456 is the called number, 123 is the calling number. So ANI also means calling number, automatic number identification, and you can consider this as a calling number. Voice port is similar to, and it represents the physical port on the router. It can be a FXO port or a PRI port, right? So it can be any TDM port. It's a physical port number, actually where the cable is connected. So there are the important is the incoming dial pair matching rules. Outgoing dial pair matching rules are very easy, and it just depends on only one command. Incoming dial pair rules have five attributes actually, and it's the if you see the slide, it's completely based on the priority. So the first incoming rule is incoming call number command. The highlighted incoming call number is actually the command, is the keyword, and DNS string means the called number. So this incoming called number command is based on the called number on DNS, right? This dial pair command defines the called number destination or the dialed number identification service string. When properly configured, this dial pair command uses the called number to match the incoming call leg to an inbound dial pair, right? So it's based on the called number and it has the highest priority. When I say priority, I'll explain what I mean after completing all this dial pair rules. The second command is answer address command, which is based on calling number or ANI, and this is having the second priority in the dial pair rule. This dial pair command defines the originating calling number or automatic number identification string. When properly configured, this dial pair command uses the calling number to match the incoming call leg to an inbound dial pair. Third one is very famous destination pattern, and it can be any dial string. Destination pattern command can be used for both incoming and outgoing. Most of the time it is only used for outgoing dial pairs, but it can also be used as incoming dial pair or can be selected by the gateway and when you don't have a matching string, a matching pattern in incoming called number command or enter address command. So when inbound call legs are matched, this command uses the calling number or the ANI to match the incoming call leg to an inbound dial pair. For outbound dial pairs, this command is matched against the called number or a destination pattern, a destination number, right? So if you see here, calling number is the basis for inbound dial pair and the called number string or DNS will be basis for outbound dial pair. So if you're using this dial pair as an incoming dial pair using destination pattern command, ANI or the calling number will be the basis of selection. When you are using a dial pair using destination pattern command for outbound leg, then called number or DNS will be the basis of selection. Okay. Now this port command, which is the fourth one and is only used when you have POTS dial pair. It's used for POTS dial pair, cannot be used for VoIP dial pair. For VoIP, we use session target. So this is port command. This dial pair command defines the POTS voice port through which calls to this dial pair are placed. Now, when you don't have any command or none of the dial pairs configured in your router matches this priorities or matches this command, then the fifth one is a default dial pair, which is also called as PID, PID 0. So default dial pair 0 will be used, but the default dial pair 0 have some limitations, right? And those limitations cannot be changed. So the best way would be not to use default dial pair. Properly configure your router using VoIP and POTS for incoming and outgoing leg so that it matches any of the dial pairs for your calls configured in the voice gateway. Now, when I was talking about the first uh, attribute incoming call number, I said that this is having the highest priority. So when I say highest priority, how it works is incoming call number command have the highest priority, answer address having the second priority, destination pattern having the third priority. So when you have multiple dial pairs configured in the voice router, if any dial pair is configured using the incoming call number command, that dial pair will be used every time. Even if you have a matching pattern under destination pattern command, that won't be used. It always will select the incoming called number dial pair having the incoming called number command. If it does not have incoming call number command, router will look for answer address command, whether there are any dial pairs, are there any dial pairs with answer address command. If yes, router will select that dial pair always. If you don't have answer address command as well, then it will go for a second, a third attribute, a third priority destination pattern, and then it goes to the fourth one. This is how it works. So incoming call number command having the first priority, answer address second, destination pattern third, and port 0. Right. Now this we have already discussed. Port command is used in POTS dial pair, and we use session target, and the session target command is used in VoIP dial pairs to the destination device. So it can be call manager when you are using when you have a VoIP leg between call manager and voice gateway, and it will be used in the outgoing VoIP dial peer. Now, in outbound dial peer matching rules, router always uses destination pattern command and dialed string or the called number DNIS to match and send the call to that destination. So this is outbound dial pair matching rules. So guys, this is all about dial pairs and dial plans. This here we have learned the basics of dial pairs, call legs, VoIP pods, dial pairs, incoming, outgoing dial pairs. What are the dial pair matching rules? Uh, right. In the next video, we will try to learn about dial pair configuration, how to configure a POTS dial pair and a VoIP dial pair, what are the various commands that can be used under this, what are the various attributes of POTS dial pair and VoIP dial pair, what other commands that can be used under it. Uh, in the next session or in the same session, we will try to understand about translation rules as well if time permits. Otherwise, I'll make a video on translation rules as well. So for now, this is all. Please like the video, subscribe, comment if you want to learn about any other topic of the voice gateway and the cube. We'll try to prioritize it. And till then, bye bye, everyone, and take care, stay safe, have a good day.